So, my name is Hope, and I am 26 years old, and I'm so excited to be sharing life with you guys. So, I have a lot to share with y'all about my health and my faith and how both of those coincide with each other, and just everything that's happened over the past couple of years, particularly. A lot has changed for me, which is crazy, but God has certainly walked with me, and He has given me the strength to carry through each and every day, and I will continue to fight until the day that God calls me home. But yeah, so I actually, before I share with you anything about my health and, like I said, what I've been walking through and what I continue to walk through on a daily basis, I wanted to just share with you a little bit about myself. So I was born and raised in Georgia, about an hour north of Atlanta, and I love Georgia. I lived with my three other siblings and my parents, and we lived in the middle of nowhere. It was literally the country. We lived on a dirt road. We had well water, like we had 13 acres. Half of it was woods. My parents would go hunting all the time. So I grew up very much like tomboyish, I guess you could say. I was constantly outside. We were in the woods, we were playing in the dirt, we were catching scorpions. Like, it was a fun childhood, and thankfully none of us got seriously hurt or injured, and that's a good thing. We lived next to a couple farms too, so we got to go over and take care of horses and ride horses and go four-wheeling, and it was just a very, very fun childhood. So I really enjoyed my time in Georgia. And then when I was about 10 years old, my dad, so he was going through some things with his job at the time in Georgia, and he needed to make a decision pretty quickly on where to go next. And God opened up an opportunity for him, pretty big opportunity for him, in West Virginia. So we up and moved to West Virginia when I was 10, and that was a huge transition for me, y'all. I was 10 years old. My whole life was in Georgia. All of my friends that I literally grew up with since I was a baby, my church, my home place that we had been in since I was a baby, like, I was homeschooled there all 10 years. Everything that I knew and loved, I was leaving behind, and that was so hard for me. I think out of all the siblings, I'm the one who took it absolutely the hardest. I don't know why, but that was huge for me. So I left all that behind. We went to West Virginia. We knew nobody in West Virginia at all, so we moved in a neighborhood where, I just was so shy. I didn't know, how to really interact with people socially. Like, that also has to do with being homeschooled and being where I lived. We didn't really live by neighbors. Like, we didn't have as much interaction, I guess you could say, so it was really hard for me to just walk up and be like, hey, can I play with you? And so it took a long time. But so the transition was tough, certainly for all of us, but especially for me. And I walked through a lot of difficult things for a while. I was put in private school. Right out of being homeschooled, I was put in private school like a couple months after moving. That was incredibly hard for me. And then and that was all through middle school. And then when I got into high school, I was in public school because the private school only went up to 8th grade. So I went to public school, and that was, especially where we lived in a small town. Everybody knew everybody, and well, I didn't grow up with, these kids. Parents didn't know me. Like, I just felt like I didn't belong, and so, and especially being a Christian, it was just like, I felt very much alone, and just was a hard transition. My sister she is a couple years older than me, so she was always kind of ahead. And so she made friends quicker than me, and she was also smarter, and so, or at least I thought at the time that she was smarter, and so she would, she just, I don't know, she thrived a lot more than I did, and so my whole high school time was very, very rough, and so I learned a lot. I learned so much. We lived in West Virginia for a total of 13 years. So you can imagine that I walked through a lot of different things during those years, a lot of hard things. Actually, my oldest brother, Josiah was his name. He ended up passing away in 2011, right before my 16th birthday, and right before I think it was his 21st birthday. It's terrible that I don't remember how old he was, but he was very, very young. And so he actually was in California at the time, and so it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like, I said that it was a really hard transition and really hard for me to move from Georgia to West Virginia, but this was also on a whole nother level for me. I mean, we were literally celebrating my 16th birthday. We were out camping. I hadn't turned 16 yet, but we were celebrating it early. We were literally out camping. I was with my parents, and we were fishing, and my dad got a call from an officer, and we got the news that, you know, my brother had passed away. And it was all a blur from there. We literally just were trying to get the tent down and trying to get ourselves together and in the car and going to tell my sister, and it was you know, it was a huge thing for us to walk through. And so that was part of just everything that I've been through. And so not everything was bad in West Virginia, but it was certainly, I learned, it was a huge just a time for me to kind of grow and figure out who I was in Christ, and who I was as a person, as Hope, you know, not as anybody else, not as my sister, not as my brothers, not as my mom, not as my friends, but as me. And so it took a long time for me to build my own self-confidence. And I don't think that actually truly happened until I went off to college in Lynchburg, Virginia. I went there for 4 years, got my bachelor's degree, but while I was in college, on campus, it was a Christian university, and just soaking up, soaking up Christ on a daily basis, and being surrounded by Christians, it really helped grow my faith, and God really showed me who I was and what my abilities were, separate from everybody else's, what my talents were, and just who I was in Christ. So it was a great time for me. College was definitely some of the best years of my entire life. I met my best friend there. She's awesome. We're still really good friends. She lives somewhere else, but yeah, so we lived in West Virginia 13 years, and then right when I graduated college, we decided to go to South Carolina. We decided to move to South Carolina. We were just ready for change. My parents were just ready to live in somewhere warmer where it wasn't snowing all the time, just ready for the beach. And so we were like, okay, well, we're gonna go to Charleston, South Carolina. So that is where we are right now, and we all absolutely love it. We have lived here 3 years, and it has been some of the best 3 years of my entire life. I have really grown in my faith, and I have learned how valuable having a good support system is, and I can definitely say that we have a huge support system here versus West Virginia, just because we lived in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia as well, and so it was kind of harder to have connections, and it was just harder to drive like an hour to go to church, and it was just really tough there. But here we're close to a lot of people, and we're close to our church, and just have a lot of support. So I would say that over the years I have learned and grown so much, and still growing and learning every single day, and I am so excited to share with you guys just my journey. I will definitely go into more details about everything that has happened, all that I've learned from, my childhood up until today, but that is for a different day, because I don't want to overwhelm you guys right now. But I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for everything that God has allowed me to walk through, even some of the hardest times, losing a loved one and facing just terrible health conditions, and watching my mom walk through her health problems and watching other friends go through things, and it's been tough, but you know, I've held on to my faith and I've held on to the strength that God has given me, and I continue to remain positive and hopeful, and yeah, so my name is Hope, and so I have to hold on to that, and so I think that's all I'm going to share with y'all today, but I will talk to you again soon. Bye guys.